just get this up here, and then all right, we should be live somewhere, and we should be firing up. So let's just see what happens. Worst case, we're I should record this as well. No, you should record it on Zoom. You're already recording it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So worst case, we have that. All right. So where?
Wait, did you start?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Okay.
We're rolling. So where are you at, Bobby? I mean, we got like, this. It's so weird to know what's the best time to do this, right? Because we don't want to do it like late at night, right? But we don't want to do it too early. And I think this is fine because this sort of captures really where I'm at. I might make some very, very tiny tweaks between now and when I go to bed, but aside from that, I'm kind of pretty much set with what I'm doing. For those people that were there either for Monday or for Tuesday, I was going to have a very, very concentrated player pool. And the one thing that I did differently, I kind of took Bobby's advice a little bit. I don't even know if you meant it to be advice. But I did find that some of my lineups were just a little chalky. And considering that I was going to be putting, shots in the Millie Maker, I wanted to just take some shots also. I mean, you reminded me that, each and every given week there can be some freaking wild card that could just show up and do something. So I put in maybe a handful, like 4 or 5 kind of 10% sprinkles, which I'm going to kind of show you where I'm getting at. But this is a theory question, which I wanted to kind of run past you, is we always talk about this, about how much percent of a guy you need to have, right, to be leveraged or whatever. So the way I kind of looked at it is I just wanted to make sure that everybody that I had, I was above the field on, okay, no matter who it was. And when I was talking about my 10% sprinkles, and when I go over who they are, I mean, literally, like, there's zero chance that any of these guys are going to be remotely approaching even like 6%, right? So even if I have only 10%, I think that's probably all I need of that player.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's get a look at the actual lineups, because I can see the overall your contest. I want to see the lineup.
Yeah, so let's do this. So the what I did was I have like a bunch of guys. These are kind of my tiers. Like a bunch of guys I have like just a shitload of, right? And those are going to be Gary Woodland, the guys I mentioned the other day, where it's going to be Gary Woodland, Colin Morikawa, Sungjae Im, Patrick Reed, right? Those are going to be kind of my of guys that are really good. Like those are going to be the ones I have like a lot of. And then secondarily, I have like maybe 25% Leishman. And the other guys I went really, really heavy on were Fitzpatrick, but I'm probably going to trim that one a little bit back. And I have like kind of like a core group of players that I have 20% of, right? So one of them, the guy that you kind of, again, this is the way I aggregate information. I kind of liked him a little bit, and then when you liked him a little bit more than I did, I kind of moved him up to a 20% guy, and that's going to be Max Homa. I'm going to take I think that's a pretty decent shot on him, right? And considering he is going to be, he's going to take some ownership. He's probably going to be like 10%, or something like that. I want to have, at least a chunk of him. So I did gamble a little bit on him. Connors, I have 20% of also. And as I scroll down,
I have exactly 22% of Max Homa at this moment.
That's so funny. And then the other 20% guy I have is On. Okay, who you kind of confirmed with me. You liked him a little bit, so he's the other guy I have kind of 20% of. Now, the other guy that I have, when you go down a little bit, that I really played a lot of relative to, I guess, his skill set is Horschel. I have like 25% of him. That's kind of a pretty heavy approach to somebody like that. And then what I did with these 10% guys, remember I had like a whole bunch of whatchamacallit, of Neesmith, whatever it is. What I did was I took a couple of 10% guys that were going to be really low owned, and I sprinkled them in. I just wanted to review who they are. One is going to be Charles Howell III at 10%. Another guy, I put both Taylors, Nick Taylor and Vaughn Taylor, both of them at 10%, and I don't think anybody's going to probably own any of them. And another guy I put in who was a little bit more expensive, I threw in, and you kind of like at the very, you don't even remember this, the very, very last second when I was going from one panel to another, you said, I don't mind him either. I kind of have this weird feeling that I'm supposed to have a little bit of Bubba Watson this week. Can't quite figure out why, but he's going to, I don't think a soul is going to be on him, and he's another 10% sprinkle. Just a guy to kind of, maybe help me win the millie or something like that. And the remainder of my player pool is basically guys we talked about, like at 10% Munoz. I went a little higher on Ortiz because you liked him a little bit. So I went 15% him, and I have 15% Stalling, and I went a little bit higher than normal on Stanley. I went like 15% Stanley. But you'll notice that there's like a lot of guys I don't have any of, right? I mean, like there's like 100 players here that I could make cases for. But you know what? You just can't play everybody, right? So this is just kind of where I'm at. I'm heavily concentrated on the guys I like. Morikawa, Rahm at the top. Patrick Reed, and I guess Woodlands, right? Woodlands probably still my highest owned guy, and I'll live and die with them. And I de-chalkified a little bit by some of those kind of off the board sprinklers, pretty heavy on Max Homa, I would say, and I'm just kind of content with it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we have a lot of similar-ish thoughts. There's different. I'm using different value guys than you are, but I'm really spreading them out because I'm max entering like
Okay.
the millions and stuff like that. So I've got 5% Neesmith, 5% Palmer, 5% Urich. You know what I mean? I've got a bunch of that kind of situation. The guys who I'm a little bit more committed to on the lower end are like Norlander. I've got almost 20% of at 6,500. Was really good last week. The price is really cheap. Him and between he and Ortiz, they'll at 65 and 6,400. They're going to be in about probably close to 20% of lineups each. But I think that at least like half of those, probably more, will have them together. Really hoping to spend all the way up in my other spots because I like the high end guys. So I'm actually I have a weird build this week because I'm actually higher on pretty much all of the top end players than you wouldn't think that was possible, but it definitely is if you use some of these cheap guys who are going to be unknown. Norlander's going to get some ownership. I think he'll be on more than the other ones.
Well, Bobby, not to interrupt you, but this is what I was thinking. So I had Norlander originally in my initial builds at 10%, 8%, something like that, and I ended up going to 0 on him. And this was I was really struggling, but this is why I did it. See, you're doing, I think, what I could have done is that to go a full 20% him, right? Because as you mentioned, I mean, people are going to own him. It's not going to be 0%, but he's going to be 8, 9%. So rather than me just kind of staying with the field on him, I just kind of decided I was either going to go 20 or 0, and I went to 0, and that's just kind of decision I made. But it's not. I don't want people to think I just didn't like Norlander. He was a particular guy that I really, I don't want to say struggled with, just because I like him, just struggle on how to actually approach it. But I think your idea is awesome to take a guy like that. And you know what? So some people are going to own him. I'm going to own him more. I'm going to take just a heavier stance than other people.
And I'm going to do that with Ortiz, who no one's going to own, and they're going to be together. So I don't need to worry about lineup differentiation just based on that alone.
Right.
Not only am I doing a kind of a weird build by paying the 6s where people are going to be paying much more than the 7 this week. I'm doing something unusual by playing them together. And look, if they both make the cut, especially with what Ortiz can do on some of these holes, I just feel like there's a good chance for them both to have at least be in the top 20 on Sunday or have a chance to be.
Where are you with these top guys? How much are you playing these guys?
So I'm highest on Matsuyama right now.
Yep.
About 35%. The problem is I'm really spread out on them because I like them all and trying. So I need to whittle down my field a little bit. Right now I've got Matsuyama about 35%. I've got Justin Rose 24%. I've got Justin Thomas 16%. I'm basically with the field of I'm going to get to about 20 on Justin Thomas, I think. But I'm going to be ahead. I'm going to be a little bit higher on Kopka, 24, 25%. I'm going to be with Rahm. Rahm is the one I'm going to end up lower on, and it's not that I don't like him. I know you have him. I'm just siding with the other guys. Rahm, and I'm a little nervous not to have enough show for him, but I think I'll end up near the field on him anyway.
What about Cantley?
Cantley, I'm going to be probably at 25, 26%. probably right near the field. I'm tempted to go over because I feel very good about him. But it's just it's such chalk when I like that many players for a guy who hasn't played that much competitive golf recently, even though he's been amazing every time he does anything. I'm just having trouble getting there. Part of it because I like those upper guys, and then I like to jump down. I mean, I've ended up with less Justin Rose than I originally thought. I thought I was going to play 40% of them, but because I really like Woodland at 83, I really like Sungjae Im at 89. I like Jordan Spieth for tournaments a lot, like at 86. I know it's a little bit of a wild one, but he's actually been weirdly consistent in terms of like making cuts and making some runs. He just usually throws in one really bad round. If he doesn't do that, he can be right in contention. I like just a little bit lower with Scheffler and Horschel. I'm going to end up with 20+% of probably both of those guys. Same thing with Homa, 25%. Young Han, 20%. That's a huge portion of my ownership. Other than that, you're talking about a lot of sprinkles. And honestly, what I need to do is get a few of these guys to be in the more 40-50% owned range. And that's probably going to end up being Matsuyama, Im, Woodland. I'm still flirting with the idea of getting a lot of Wolf. I don't know where. To me, it seems like too good of an opportunity. And I just, if I bought that no one's really going to play him, it would be one thing. But I mean, really, no one's going to play him? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I understand that. I don't know. It seems like, of course, it suits a bomber who's coming out his best finish ever, who's one of the youngest, most talented guys around. After a second place wouldn't be at 8,100. Sure, that's expensive for him, but like his upside is the ceiling. His upside is everything. He can win this tournament. So I don't know. I'm still flirting what to do with that because I do like that price tier range in general, but I just get this feeling like it's a mistake not to play guys like Wolf. And I also feel that way about Scheffler a little bit. Just people are going to forget about him. But I actually think I would prefer Horschel over Scheffler in that 7K range. That sort of give you like an overall of the guys I'm playing.
Yeah, so I also, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, but I have a full 50% of Hideki myself. I mean, it's just exactly the type of guy that I'm just kind of on this week, just like trying to not say avoid, but just off the top guys a little bit and into all these other guys.
So you do like Hideki?
Oh yeah, he's like I like 50% of him.
Yeah, okay. I was looking at
Yeah. And and another guy that I was going to get a decent amount of, but then I got zero of after all that was Kuchar.
Yeah, I have a little bit of him, but again, it's hard with all these other guys. I like him a little bit. I also like Morikawa a little bit. If he can make some putts. If he can make some putts, he's a sure thing to make it run.
Now I liked, from a golf perspective, I liked Neiman, but I just really didn't like that 20% possible ownership. I just tossed him. I mean,
That's what I'm saying though with the young guys. When you have the young guys, Hovland, him. Now Hovland's obviously been the most consistent. Neiman's been good, and consistent. Wolf obviously hasn't been the consistent guy, but he's also getting 1/7 the ownership, and he like literally was the better player of these guys like a year ago. You know what I mean? And it's not like he hasn't shown much since then. He won a tournament a year ago, and he almost became fourth player ever, was it, or fifth player ever to get his second title on the PGA Tour before he's 22. I'm buying into the kid a little bit, and I also am buying into that Sungjae Im is a better golfer than this. He's a better than 8,900 on this field. Like I think he should be in the higher range, and he's not going to have ownership. So I'm committing a lot of ownership to him.
did you do any? Did you do any Ian Poulter or no?
I have him, and like I made sure to not like leave him completely out, but he's not a guy who like I can't afford to. I like Varner a lot too. I just can't get there. I like Domin. I just don't have enough places on my roster.
Did you do any Sabatini after all that?
I do like Rory. I'm getting him in more. It's probably going to be about 10% for me, but not crazy high. I don't think I just have room again. I like these taking shots on these 6K guys who've just been going nuts. And I'll just tell you, like, I mean, well, I don't have a ton of ownership on one 6K guy in general, except for maybe Norlander or Ortiz combined, I guess you could say, at that price tier. There's just a lot of guys I'm messing around with down there. Like I mentioned, a bunch of 5%ers like Keurig and all those guys. And then the guys in the sevens, like I said, 17 around 10%, Kyle Stanley around 10%, Cameron Champ. I wanted to have a lot of them. I'm a little bit hesitant when he's going to have some ownership, and he's a guy who could play really well in this course. I can also see him getting in trouble with some of the long par fours. Luke List is another guy. Again, I want to have near 10% of. And I'm telling you, I mix these guys in the millionaire make. Now, overall, for my overall ownership, it's going to be very different. I always say you should look at it different in terms of pricing, because if you're going to play a tournament, you can scatter out a little bit. Again, you still want to have a little bit more before. You can scatter out if you want to do it with the whole price tier range. I mean, look, it almost won it for me a few weeks back, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that with the under 7, the 7,400 and under guys that are going to be less owned. Tringale too has been playing pretty solid. Warinsky,
Did you play Lanto Griffin?
Yeah, I have Lanto Griffin about 8%, I think, right now.
So what I did, just a pure ownership play. I swapped out my 10% Griffin for 10% Shane Lowry, just because, again, just a pure ownership play. I didn't think there was that much difference between the two of them. So just to let you guys know what I did. I have no problem with Griffin, but that's just what I did. How about that?
Yeah, he's just. I mean, he's just like if he was a little bit. I think if he was like 6,800, he'd actually have like almost double-digit ownership this week, just because of so many question marks. And I like the idea of getting more on the Munoz, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I just haven't found myself getting there yet. I have him at 5% right now.
Did we talk about Bud Cauley? Because I have a decent amount of him too.
Yeah, I have 14% Bud Cauley. I like Bud Cauley, and I'm probably gonna end up with more than that.
I think that's exactly the percentage I have of him, actually.
Bud Cauley and the 7,100 is actually kind of the nice, the tier that I think people would want to go towards more. I actually kind of like, again, Brian Stewart has actually been really good and really consistent since he's coming back. Another guy who's going to be completely unknown. I just sort of like him. Like he's been in the mix quite a bit, and he's another one at 7,100. I'm trying to remember who else my other guys were. Starting to scroll down the range because I've got Homa, obviously. Homa, Cauley, Stewart are the guys at 7,100 for me. With I think I have Keegan Bradley and then Stanley, who's a little bit lower in list in a little bit. But again, I'm sprinkling with a lot of those guys, and then in my higher buy-ins, I'm going to hammer at the guys a lot of it are these the Asian players, but mostly it's going to be Matsuyama, Morikawa, and then I want Cantlay exposure, Thomas. I'm probably going to leave out Hovland in my main buy-ins, and he's the guy I'm probably going to be way underweight on, even though I love him in general, just because I can't fit him in as much, and he's going to be just much higher owned. And if I want to play some Cantlay, who I feel better about than Hovland, I can't just take those two chalk guys when I just don't feel like the edge is that much greater. And even Cantlay, my plan was to be way underweight on him. It just doesn't seem like an intelligent thing to do, just based on how much this course seems to suit him. At the same time, I don't know. I mean, you could just take those two guys and take up for the other guys at the top, and you're already differentiating.
We have a couple of questions from the chat before I get to them. Did you get to any Higgs or no?
Like 2%.
Okay. Well, that's going to be the one that wins for sure. So, a couple of questions I'm seeing up on here, and it's kind of neat. I don't know exactly which platform these are coming from, but one guy's saying, guys, I like Brooks Koepka. Oh, we're talking about the
It's super quiet, and I'm not really sure why that's happening, so sorry about that. I'll figure that out before the next one.
Oh, he's quiet. You're quiet?
Apparently, that's what the chat's saying too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it saying, guys, I like Brooks Koepka because his brother Chase is making his PGA debut. I know he felt bad because they were hanging out with each other last, and Brooks' caddy came down with COVID. And somebody comes in with Grillo thoughts. I actually did consider Grillo a little bit. I just didn't do it. I have just no problem with it. But I don't know if this is evasive or not. I just didn't play him. I mean, you just can't play everybody. I think he was fine.
I would rather play the lower owned players in that price range or the 7,100 guys you just mentioned.
Oh, he's going to be owned, Grillo?
Probably as close as 10%.
Okay.
I mean, and the other guys I have are not only going to be lower owned, I actually like them better.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if Homa's going to be higher owned than 10. Well, it's going to be close probably.
And Koepka's brother's thing, I think that's a bunch of nonsense.
I like Koepka a lot, though.
Right, but not because his brother's playing. I don't think it's.
No, I mean it's if anything, that kind of stuff in golf, I feel like could go sometimes go the other way. I don't know, it could go both ways, I guess. If they were playing like in the same grouping or something, which I'm sure is not the case, but I haven't checked that yet. I actually haven't gotten my groupings. I've started doing that as a last resort while I listen to my last shows after I've made my final decisions. But again, I do want to emphasize that Scheffler, Horschel, just because they've struggled in a couple of different tournaments, they're guys in that price range that would be really, really high owned if this was the first tournament back. I mean, in the mid-20s, maybe the highest open player on the board. And now we're going to avoid the Scheffler just shot 7 under his last round. Maybe we should, focus more on those guys as well. So that's the problem I'm having with the very, very bottom tier. Other than Norlander and Ortiz, I don't really have anybody within the under 7K range like I loved Wolf last week. But I do like the 7,100 guys, and I like mixing in enough of those 6K guys with some of these. While they may be chalky, I'm going to be significantly over the field on, the guys who I want, like Matsuyama and Im is, I guess, my biggest differentiator because I'm talking about 30% on him.
Okay, so I just want to go over my FanDuel because there is one big. This is the way it worked out for me. I ended up with a lot more Xander Schauffele on FanDuel for some reason. So I have a lot of him on FanDuel, and I have just a pornographic amount of Hideki on FanDuel. It's just the way, again, I don't have as much Woodland on here, and not exactly sure why, but this is where I'm at. And, and I have just a lot of ROM on FanDuel also, because you just get him in much easier. But, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Bobby, and I guess everybody is listening to this also, I always struggle since we first started doing these things like months ago, and when I see stuff on Twitter about what type of content people might want, what type of content people are just kind of sick of or whatever, and I always think about what are we doing differently or better, right? And I think that what I really want to focus on also, and I think that people appreciate this, is something that you brought up, and when you were just trying to develop the site before I even got involved in it, this whole idea of just transparency in general, which a lot of people really aren't giving. You know what I mean? People spew out their ideas, and then you see it all the time. Like some people come in, oh boy, XYZ tout just made like 100,000. Really? Not because of anything you told me. You know what I mean? And so what I really like to do, and again, it doesn't really bother me too much, is that's why I showed everybody exactly what I was doing in DraftKings and exactly what I'm doing on FanDuel. So, and you see actually throughout the course of the week how I struggled with how to come up with these decisions, So just so you guys know what I'm doing on FanDuel, I'm playing one entry in the big one, the 555, 444, whatever it is. You want a quick view of my NBA lineup for a month from now? There you go. Here's a quick. I just filled something in. It's kind of cool to see, right? I mean, I don't know how to see an NBA lineup, but they might end up doing late swap or something like that. Is that possible?
Why is Paul George is now a shooting? Oh, I guess he's a shooting guard now. I actually didn't hear that about FanDuel yet, so I actually
yeah.
Ahead of me.
So for now, this is my big one, by the way, on FanDuel. For now, and I don't think I'm changing this just on sheer principle. This is the one I don't have ROM, and I'm playing a little more balanced here. I'm playing with Woodland, Im, Reed, Morikawa, Dahmen, and Connors. That's going to be my. That's.
I like that lineup. I think it's solid. I think there's a really, really good.
That's a good way to put it. It's solid. You know what I mean? This isn't winning like the millie, and a million.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's not going to be the million, but it could have a shot in these 555. Something
right.
Like this. I like the Im thing. I like the Reed. I don't think people are going to do that type of a build over here. So
okay.
I think you're more off the board than maybe you might initially think.
Okay.
Because you can spend up so easily. So I'm doing sort of the opposite with my 555 on FanDuel.
Okay.
Right now is kind of a funny one. It's basically exactly what I talked about, but it's Justin Thomas, Cantlay, Kafka, Norlander, Ortiz, and Garner.
Well, and the thing is that I talk about transparency. And, on the other hand, I don't want Bobby to have to show like his exact lineups, because what ends up happening is that it's not that it's anything else. Is if people play like the same lineups, all that ends up happening is everybody screws themselves, right? Because everybody just ends up duplicating each other anyway, But just so you guys know, what I'm doing in whatchamacallit, on DraftKings is, let me just go to the sport, MMA. Oh, I can't wait for that. Is I'm playing the 100, which is the single entry, and then I'm playing 3 entries in that Stinger, which is the 100 there, and I'm also playing the bigger one, the single, the 200 single entry, and then I'm playing I think 30 entries in the millie. So that's what I'm doing, and I think for 30 lineups and whatever, I think that it's a pretty concentrated group I have. You know what I mean? I think I have a total of 20 guys in my player pool, right? Of whom 5 of them are basically 10% long shots. You know what I mean? So I'm, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think if I'm in contention after, I don't think I'm gonna go in and out of contention. I think I'm either gonna be in contention or out of contention. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I like it, and I actually think that build that you did on the fighting side, it's why I've been doing a little better on FanDuel is by doing a little different things. Like last week, for example, Wolf was significantly lower owned on FanDuel because his price was higher, and sort of playing that not playing the ultimate top guys, although I'm playing all 3 top guys on FanDuel this week. I think that is an interesting way to go, but I'm doing it with 2 guys who are going to be less than 5% owned on FanDuel because of the way the pricing is set. So I actually like the way you like your build, but it's funny, we have totally opposite builds, but I think they both make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's what the way it's been lately. I think you want to embrace the variance with the way things have been.
Right.
We'll try and bring a pet show on Friday if you're available.
No, I definitely want to do that. So what time would that be? That would be about 6-ish probably, my time?
About 6 your time.
It's an East Coast tournament, this one? This is oh yeah, when's post time here? 6:50 in the morning?
I approached the 2 weeks differently the last 2 weeks. I stayed up 1 week, and then last week I went to sleep and I woke up. And last 2 weeks have not been my best 2 weeks in golf. So I'm going to make sure I'm up.
Oh, so to answer one more question here, it's a couple more here. One guy says, he says, do you like Neesmith at all? Oh, you addressed that? You have 10% of him? Yeah, he's actually in my biggest single entry, actually, this on Draftkings. So this is the biggest single entry one that I have. So this is, again, same kind of idea, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if any of you guys real quickly before we get out of here, or even I'll leave it up for a minute after, but if you have any thoughts or anybody you want to mention or you think's kind of interesting this week, or if there's somebody who maybe you think we overlooked, throw them in the chat real quick, and we'll just address that real quick before we get out of here, because I'm always curious to hear what other people said. I sort of said who I have my most ownership on, not hugely off the board in those, but I sort of made it clear throughout the show basically what I'm doing and taking some chances. I mean, even guys like Im's going to be less than 10%.
Is that true?
That's the projection right now. So I'm having trouble getting past it. I also like Ricky Fowler, by the way. I like this whole range. I just got to make some choices. So.
You know what I have to do? I keep forgetting to do this. I subscribe to a couple of different places that give ownership projections. I keep forgetting to do this. I'm going to start comparing, like which one of these places is closest to actual ownership projections, because I mean, I looked at 3 different. They're sort of close, but some of them are just kind of way different. So I want to just start tracking for my own research benefits, like which sites are actually closest to ownership projections. And I'll come out when we do the review on next Tuesday or something. I'll come out with a report on that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I love that. If you could, that would be awesome.
Yep.
I would love to hear how that plays out. Plays out this week. All right, Cheese. Any other final?
No, we're good, man.
Who's winning the tournament? Just say Matsuyama, because I think they're our most combo.
No, I can't do that. It's gonna be
Half your tournament lineups.
No, but I'm just gonna say who's gonna win. I'm just gonna say who's gonna win. It's gonna be Morikawa for sure.
Oh wow, okay.
100%.
All right. I actually really like Gary Bushland.
Yeah, sure.
So that's
Hey, can I tell you something? If Morikawa and Woodland are battling for the win, I am going to be glued to that TV set. I promise you that.
And then watch all of our other guys, like we'll have 3 out of 6 in every lineup.
Yeah, when Patrick Reed goes +4 on the first day. Jesus Christ. All right, sounds good, man.
All right, man, take it easy. Good luck, guys. We'll see you